Okay, welcome back to the second part of this video. In this part of the video I'm going to be breaking down my opinions on both of the cars and which one's the better car. Well, the short answer to that is the Mercedes is the better car. If that's what you wanted to know, you can go ahead and click off, like, comment, subscribe, see you. But obviously most people probably already figured that out. Most people probably already know Indycar is a lot slower than the F1 car. But I wanted to just kind of tell you exactly why it's slower and how it's slower. So first of all, the Mercedes obviously is an F1 car. It has superior speed. The top speed, well, obviously I haven't tested every track, but the highest top speed I've seen from the car is like 205 miles per hour compared to IndyCar's top speed of about 190. Obviously that's excluding the oval trim, which the oval trim would get to about 230, but that's kind of obsolete because that's an oval trim that basically has no rear wing, so we're not even going to include that. So yeah, the speed difference is not significant, but in terms of over a lap, it's insanely significant. So the next big difference between both of the cars is the aero configuration. So the Mercedes or any F1 car has tons and tons and tons of aero. The car just sticks to the ground. It hardly ever gets loose. Like, getting it loose is extremely hard unless you really just like throw it into a corner at 200 miles per hour. Like if I didn't brake, like right, that would get me loose. But in terms of the IndyCar, any sort of like misjudgment of a corner, you know, even if you try and take the corner, you know, 10 to 15 miles an hour faster than you can go, the rear will just kick out on you. It's really easy to lose it. So and then getting onto the IndyCar era, the IndyCar era it's not low. Like obviously the IndyCar era is extremely high if you compare it to anything else. But if you compare it to an F1 car, it basically has no aero compared to an F1 car. So that's another big difference between the two cars, is the aero is completely different. Okay, now we're going to get into the handling of both the two cars. So obviously, if you probably gathered this from the last 2 points, the aero makes this car handle like a dream. It doesn't get loose. It never gets loose because it has so much aero, it just sticks. It's just like glued to the ground. It's probably with a combination of the huge aero and the huge tires. So yeah, the handling is never gets loose. That's basically it. It's super easy to drive. As a beginner, this car is extremely fast. But in terms of the only thing what's hard to drive is you can't just be like, oh, let's just drop the clutch, because it's obviously gonna spin out on you. But in terms of like it's kind of hard to sometimes get out of corners. Like you can really get a lot of wheel spin, but that's about it. Other than that, once you're on the accelerator, you're pretty good. So the IndyCar's handling on the other hand is extremely hard to drive. It will get loose pretty much every single, especially if you're new to like racing or simulators, it's incredibly hard to drive. And I would not recommend that as a beginner car. It's really hard to drive, but that's also what makes IndyCar also funner. If you're more experienced, I personally think the IndyCar's funner to drive in terms of you really have when you beat your lap time by, you know, that 10th and the second, you're like, wow, that was awesome, because there's just so much satisfaction with hooking up a lap in the IndyCar because it's so hard to drive. And so then the next thing I'm going to talk about is the brake difference. So obviously the F1 car brakes are extremely powerful, but the only one caveat to that is in an F1 car it's extremely easy to lock up if you don't have very good brake management. See, it's just so easy. It's so touchy on braking, so that's the one thing about the braking. So the IndyCar braking, obviously it's a lot less powerful, but the only one advantage to that is it's a lot harder to lock it up. So braking on the IndyCar is probably easier. That's probably one of the easiest things to do on the IndyCar is brake. Everything else is harder. Okay, which car do I think is the best car in iRacing? Any sort of thing? It depends. That's kind of, I can't really answer that question. That's really down to you. Are you an experienced sim racer? If you're a really experienced sim racer, well, this car will be fun for you even if you're experienced, because it's an F1 car. Why wouldn't it be fun? But in terms of a challenge, like an Indy car is extremely hard to drive. It's a challenge to drive, and it's a lot more rewarding to drive, in my opinion. So if you're looking for a challenge, the Indy car is probably the best car to get. If you're looking for just a car because you want to beat the lap record of Spa, I would go for the F1 car because it's so fast. So yeah, that's my recommendations. And if you're new to sim racing too, I would recommend the F1 car too. If you're new to sim racing, you're probably gonna get very frustrated with the IndyCar because it's hard to drive. But if you're up for the challenge, I would definitely recommend getting it because, you know, if you can drive the IndyCar fast, you can drive the F1 car even faster. So yeah, that's my little video comparing the IndyCar and the F1 car. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.